After a dominating Week 2 performance against the Alabama Crimson Tide, Texas got off to a very slow start coming back home to play the Wyoming Cowboys. Going into the third quarter, the game was tied 10-10, and it took a couple of big plays late for Texas to finally pull away and eventually win the game comfortably, albeit 31-10. First things first, I just want to take a look at the game as a whole and kind of give my overview, some of the things that I saw that were not so great and some of the things that were encouraging that I saw in the game and things that I think we can build on moving forward. So first things first, offensively, we have to start with the quarterback, naturally. Quinn Ewers, again, looked a little shaky in the pocket to begin the game. It took him until halftime to really get going. Once they came out from the half, Quinn had a much better game. Started the game, I believe it was 1 for 6 for like 14 yards before going 6 for 6 later on, and eventually ending up 11 of 21 for like 151 yards or something along those lines. It was not a great statistical performance by any means. And we saw some of the things show up again in this game that we thought after last week's performance probably were not going to show up again. So that is a little concerning, but to be fair, the things that happened were nothing that can't be corrected or coached properly. So things like having happy feet in the pocket, like he did last week against the Crimson Tide. He stood firm in the pocket, planted his feet, got his shoulders squared to the line of scrimmage, and delivered passes downfield all night long. He was on point. He was very confident in his throws and never really second-guessed anything he was doing. Well, in the game against Wyoming, some of those bad habits showed themselves again. The happy feet in the pocket, bad mechanics. There was several times where he was rushing throws that he didn't need to rush. He had plenty of time in the pocket, but he was getting like the ghost pressure, right? He was feeling defensive linemen around him that were not around him. So that was a little concerning. He had bad eyes a couple of times, not really reading the field, just kind of catching the ball and throwing into coverage. Luckily, he didn't get the ball intercepted. Throwing off of his back feet, he made one throw to JT Sanders in the end zone that should have absolutely been intercepted. If the safety was any more of an athlete, it would have been an easy pick. Sometimes just getting rid of the ball too fast, not trusting the pocket and not letting plays develop. With that being said, it also took the offensive line some time to get settled in, especially in pass pro. Run blocking, I felt like run blocking was very good all night long. You don't want to see that happen. Against good teams, against really skilled defenses, you can't get off to slow starts in the first half and just hope to pick it up in the second half along the way. One thing that Texas has been known for in recent years, and Steve Sarkisian has even admitted as much, is getting off to really fast starts and not being able to close late. Now, as the season has begun, Texas's offense has taken a lot of time to really get started early and coming on later into the game. Obviously, the 21-8 fourth quarter they had against Alabama, against Wyoming, another 21-0 shutout in the fourth quarter. So while those are good things that we can finish, we also need to be better about starting off strong. And that goes into game plan, which is something that I think a lot of people are overlooking when it came to this game against Wyoming. While Quinn Ewers made some really bad throws, he made some bad decisions, he was off target, kind of throwing the ball high a few times. All of these things, I also feel like Steve Sarkisian did not really put him in the best position to succeed like he did last week against Alabama. Too often were we in 2nd and 9, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 8, put the pressure on Quinn to throw the ball downfield, and at that point, Wyoming's not stupid. They are a well-coached team offensively and defensively. Now, maybe not very talented, but well-coached and hard-nosed for sure. With that being said, there was no reason for Texas to be in the positions that it was in the first half. Once we had time to go into the locker room, make game adjustments, we flowed, but that does not take away from what went on in the first half, right? O-line penalties. How we go from playing in Bryant-Denny Stadium in probably the most hostile environment we're going to play in this entire season, how we go from 0 pre-snap penalties, 0 holding, 0 offensive line penalties, period, to the very first play of the Wyoming game at home, we have an offensive penalty, and then we have several others throughout the game. Those are, while they're disappointing, they're not really concerning issues. These are things, again, that I think the O-line will get fixed and will not really be a problem so much as the season progresses. Moving on to the defense. The biggest problem I think that I have right now defensively, we just get really bad run fits sometimes. First drive of the game, Whaley, their running back, takes a little stretch off the tackle, breaks into open field, and is gone. Scores a touchdown, goes up early. But why did that happen? Well, that happened because Anthony Hill did not fit his gap properly. He got sucked inside, able to get reached, and that allowed Whaley to get into open field, and then he turned the burners on. And I'm sorry, Jalen Thompson is just not going to catch him in open field. He's just not that burner. That's something that I've seen several times happen, and it still happens several times in the game. We didn't let those poor run fits turn into massive plays like we did in that first run. The defense kind of shored up the run game after that. One thing, though, that was a little concerning was just how much time Wyoming's offense had the ball. They easily dominated time of possession. And while they didn't score, they were picking up first downs on third and mediums, third and longers. We were not able to get them off of the field. I know I'm being a little bit nitpicky because the defense overall had a great game, but that's something that I saw that was that could be short up a little bit. One of the reasons why, in my opinion, the offense took so long to really get started, because they didn't really have opportunities to get started. Quinn Ewers only threw the ball 21 times. Threw the ball for 50 times against Alabama. More than half of those throws were taken away because of how long Wyoming held the ball. Those were kind of some of the negative things that I saw from the game, offensively and defensively, that luckily for us are nothing crazy and nothing too difficult to fix and coach. Enough of the bad stuff. I know nobody wants to hear what Texas sucks at. Everybody wants to hear what did Texas do well, and let me tell you, Jonathan Brooks, you fucking dog. Oh, Pitbull, baby. Rottweiler, maybe. 21 carries for 160 some odd yards. He carried the load all game long with CJ Baxter out. He showed great vision. He showed great strength between the tackles. He's a hard-nosed runner. One thing that you saw with Jonathan Brooks is much like Bijan and Roschon. Now, I'm not equating them, but much like them, did not really go down on first contact. He did an excellent job of picking up extra yards. Yards after contact were immense. The O-line in the second half, holy Christ, were they opening holes. They were splitting the Red Sea. Like, they were splitting it wide open. To be fair, Jonathan Brooks had 164 yards because a couple of those runs were just massive holes where there was nobody occupying the space, and Jonathan Brooks was able to just pick up minimum 10 yards without being touched. I'm not complaining about that. I love that. Give him easy yards if you can, because he's also going to get those between the tackles and nitty-gritty hard yards as well. He deserves some easy yards. He showed that he's a 3-down back, and he's a dynamic playmaker in the backfield. Those between the tackle runs, when you're sucking the defense in, is exactly what gets us over the top with our wide receivers. He ran with a fuckload of attitude. One thing that I actually really love that we haven't seen in the first 2 weeks of the season, Savion Red at quarterback. I'm not exactly sure what the package itself is called, but having them back there at the Wildcat position, Savion Red runs with some authority. Now, he only got a couple of carries, to be fair. I was very intrigued by what I saw. I think that he can be a really dynamic playmaker, be a matchup nightmare for opposing defenses, getting him in some of these like weird, awkward packages. Perhaps one of the best things that came out of the Wyoming game was, once again, we saw Quinn Ewers' leadership, calmness, his poise, and his control take over the game. He had a really shaky first half, but in that second half of the game, he was delivering some dimes. Made obviously the one throw, to Xavier Worthy that went for like 44 yards and a touchdown, because Xavier Worthy is a freak phenom, fast, ridiculous, antelope, cheetah, all mixed in one. That kid's get up and go is absolutely insane. And he showed that several times. The punt returns. Like, he almost broke 2 punt returns simply because of how damn fast he is. Quinn comes back in, takes control, moves the ball down the field, sets us up, puts us in really good positions to set up some touchdowns, some scoring opportunities. And I thought he looked really good. I'm not gonna lie. He didn't have a ton of opportunities, like I said, only 21 pass attempts. So in that second half, in the first half alone, I think he had 12 or 13. So in the second half, he only had about 8, 9 attempts to throw the ball. And he made the most of those opportunities. So that was something that I was really encouraged by. And then, of course, there was that shot of him and Jalen Ford on the sideline. The team huddled around them, and he's talking them up, getting them ready to go out there and finish and execute, win the game, finish the game strong. That's been one of the key things for them, finishing the game. They went out there, they were able to do that. So I loved seeing that side of leadership come out of Quinn again. And the guys, you can tell, are really responding to that. There were not really a lot of passing opportunities, no really explosive plays deep, which was very, very odd, might I add, for Steve Sarkisian to not have any pass attempts like 35, 40 yards down the field. Obviously, just wasn't in the game plan today. And you know, when Wyoming is holding the ball and running the clock like that, it's kind of surprising. You would think that they would take more shots downfield. But I digress. He did what he needed to do, and they got the win. Moving on. Defensively. Holy shit, Jahdae Barron. You animal. When they said Jahdae Barron had been really into studying and watching film and diagnosing offenses, I knew Jahdae Barron was a good player going back to his past couple seasons. He's always been a very good player. But he's now putting in not only the physical prowess, but the mental side of it is all coming together. And he is a force at that nickel position. Blitzing, covering, flats, zone, one-on-ones. The guy is a very highly intelligent football player. And we have 3 of those on that back, 4 of those really across the defense. When you look at Jalen Ford, Jalen Catalon, Jaron Thompson, and Jahdae Barron, all of these guys are extremely intelligent football players. And they really shore up the back end so well. I have like no worries about our defense on the back end. Now I know they give up their plays deep. Jaron Thompson, again, he's a 4'6" guy. He's not gonna be a burner over the top. So if you get him mismatched, he can get beat deep, sure. But we also see he is extremely cerebral. Him and Jahdae Barron and Jalen Catalon are extremely cerebral safeties. And it really comes out and shows as games progress. So I love seeing Jahdae Barron, Jaron Thompson with another pick six, incredible. Hats off to you. You made a fantastic read. And then one person that just jumped off the screen to me, even though he didn't make a ton of plays, was Byron Murphy. Splitting double teams, just being an absolute force and disrupting the game. Okay, at this point, I feel like someone new on the D-line comes out and just does their thing every week. And I love it. I love what I'm seeing from the D-line. Byron Murphy, Tavondre Sweat, those guys, they all look incredible. Baron Sorrell finally got him a sack. So overall, the D-line rotation is absolutely insane. This is the best position group, I think, as far as depth is concerned, by far across the entire team. Which furthers my stance again that I said last week. This Texas defense is going to be the reason why we win the Big 12 championship and end up making the college football playoff. Okay, in conclusion, while yes, it was a sloppy game and a slow start for the Texas Longhorns, Wyoming also has a football team that wants to come out and win games. They don't just want to come out and show up. They showed that they came out and they wanted to play. Even with the backup quarterback, someone that Texas was not prepared to play, who actually came in and had himself a hell of a game. Wyoming showed that they could play, and Texas showed that we could win in multiple ways. And that's one thing that I really loved about this game. We didn't have a great offensive game passing the ball, but we had an excellent game running the ball. We didn't have a bunch of sacks, but we got turnovers. There was a lot of really good things to look at that you can improve on and move forward on as the season progresses. No matter which way you look at it, in a tight game, the team never got down on themselves. They didn't make stupid, egregious errors. They didn't hurt themselves with self-inflicted penalties that gave up big plays or took away big plays. They simply found a way to win. And at the end of the day, that is what great teams do. On your worst days, you find a way to win the game. And hell, they won the game by 21 points. So I, for one, am all for it. With that being said, I think Texas is in good hands. Yes, they do have some things to clean up, and yes, they have some things to improve on, but they'll only get better at these things as the season goes on. I think that Quinn Ewers is perfectly fine. I think that he's just going to get better and better and better, and we're going to see more absolute wow games from Quinn Ewers. This just really wasn't one of them. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get up out of here. If you enjoyed what you saw today, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe if you aren't already. If you made it to this point, I would greatly appreciate it. Turn on those notification bells because you do not want to miss anything that we have coming up for y'all this football season. Remember, no matter where you look, there's no better place than MoBetta Sports for your latest football takes. I'm Mr. MoBetta, and I'm out. Peace.